right. So can you enter curtilage to order somebody to put out a unlawful bonfire? Okay, my name is Anthony Bandier, bringing a roadside chat. I am broadcasting from Mount Pleasant, Texas, where I've been teaching here for the last few days for Texas DPS and some other agencies. So I got some time on my hands in the hotel room. Let's talk business. This officer is from Kansas, and he says, look, I got a question. In an area, I am allowed, let's say I see a bonfire in plain view, okay, in the city limits. Now, this is breaking a city ordinance, right? They cannot have this bonfire, within the city. Now, it is on the curtilage of the home. Am I legally permitted to then walk onto the curtilage where the people are around the fire and conduct my investigation? Identify the suspects, subjects, issue citations, maybe give a warning, etc. Right? Okay, so let's do a few ground rules before we can answer the question. The first thing is, what is curtilage, right? Well, it ain't the stuff in your nose, as one officer told me, and it's not spoiled cottage cheese. It is the area adjacent to the home that the U.S. Supreme Court has said in a case called Jardines that is protected like the home itself. And my, that is a mighty fine compliment, because nothing, my friends, is as protected as your home. Nothing. So your body is less protected than your home. There's all kinds of intrusive things that police do to people. They search them. They, you know, they, you know, they do in extreme cases, not extreme cases, but some courts, some jails do visual cavity searches as a matter of routine. So it's a very intrusive type of thing. And so, but if you step 1 foot onto curtilage without lawful authority, you can get burned. Excuse the pun. So the officer sees the bonfire. Fine. It is violating the ordinance. Okay. What gets you on curtilage? Well, the first thing we should look at is a good old fashioned knock and talk, right? So knock and talks are consensual encounters, right? Usually I like to say that the rules that govern knock and talks is implied consent, right? Lawyers will say it's implied license, but really, if you think about them, either way, the license to enter the home, curtilage, or the consent, they really get you to the same spot, right? Because what you want to think about is, based on what I see here, is it reasonable to believe that the occupants would be receptive to an uninvited guest, under these circumstances, right? And at this place, right? So, typically 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the front door is the place to knock on the door for an uninvited guest. But certainly there are cases where you can knock on the side door if you thought that that's where uninvited guests could be received. I have a case out of New Jersey where the police knocked on the back door in the backyard because they reasonably believed that that's where uninvited guests would be received. So the first thing I want you to do is ask yourself, do you think it's reasonable with the facts that I see here that maybe I could go back there and say, hello, local police department, can I talk to you for a second? Would a neighbor, right, feel it is, unintrusive to be like, how you doing, neighbor? Can I join the party too? This is great. I love bonfires, 5 feet from my own structure. So that's the first thing. And I'm not saying you haven't, right? Either way, I don't know. I haven't seen the map of the area. You would have to kind of look at the facts that you have them. Are other people kind of like pulling up and saying hello and trying to make contact and so forth? So just kind of, look at that, right? So if you can't make a knock and talk, then the next thing you're going to have to do is look for exigency, right? So exigency is where there's just no time to get a warrant. Things like property damage, right? If the bonfire, is out of control and it's not, it's in a makeshift fire pit and there's sparks flying everywhere and the sparks are landing on people's roof and it's landing in dry trees and it looks uncontained and people are probably highly intoxicated with just the you can just hear them, just it's more like a frat party than just kind of like family cooking marshmallows around a small bonfire. Then a person bonfire implies that it's just probably out of control, not out of control, I shouldn't say that, but it's big, it's large, right? A bonfire is like what you do in the middle of the desert, like during Burning Man, right? It's not like a fire pit, right? A bonfire is going to be probably large. And so it also is in the city limits. I would probably presume that most of these bonfires that you're seeing in people's yards are going to be pretty, like, it's going to be a safety issue, right? You could probably articulate, look, I don't have time to go run to the courthouse and wake up a judge and try to get permission to go back there. This fire could get out of control. It could light people's property on fire. It could light trees on fire. Um, Now, the other thing I want you to kind of keep in mind is, I got to tell you, like, there may be a chance, and again, I don't know, but there may be a chance that this bonfire is not even on curtilage. Remember, curtilage is adjacent to the home, right? Um, if the person, I mean, I'm just thinking, like, my experience, like a lot of yards, in suburban areas and so forth, a lot of these yards cannot accommodate a bonfire, right? Not within the curtilage. That they probably have to be a little farther out from the home. So there is a chance that what you're looking at there is actually an open field, and if it's an open field, then it's not even protected by the Fourth Amendment. But if you don't have consent, not gonna talk, and you cannot articulate some kind of urgency to take care of business right here and now, right? Something like the sparks flying, too close to structures, too close to, trees and so forth. The fire's not being maintained. If you can't articulate that, and you can't articulate that the actual bonfire is really on open fields, it's not even on curtilage, then the answer is you're going to need to get a warrant. And you're gonna be like, but how am I going to enforce this, right? And by the time I get the warrant, come back, who are my suspects? Well, first of all, you can always go after the homeowner, right? I mean, that's probably probable cause that they are, you know, involved in this, right? So that's the answer for the bonfire. I hope this helps. If you have any questions about this or anything that I teach, please give me a call, or actually reach out to us at bluetogold.com, or put some comments below and I'll try to answer those as well. If you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Until next time, my friends, you stay safe.